So hey guys, welcome to another video, and the video is called the final patch syndrome. And the final patch syndrome is something that affects a lot of people. It affects me quite a bit as well. And you might be asking, what is the final patch syndrome? Well, you know, we have the final patch of an expansion, and suddenly everything starts to feel pointless. All the gear you get, well, it's going to be leveling gear, or you're going to replace it within 30 minutes of the new expansion. All the reputations are pointless. Everything you do feels pointless. Even though it's exactly the same as with patch 6.0 or 5.2 or 4.1. It just feels more pointless because you know the end of the expansion is coming, and all the gear you got is only going to help you slightly while leveling. Now granted, going from Pandaria to Warlords, gear from Siege helped a lot. I was still wearing a couple of pieces of gear from Siege of Orgrimmar, even when I dinged 100. But still, the feeling of pointlessness is there. Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Why should I gather gear? And the biggest why should I even bother is the legendary ring. Alright? It's completely pointless. We've worked through the entire expansion to make this legendary ring, and a lot of people killed Archimon, the final boss, before they even got the ring. I'm not saying they killed it on Mythic, but, like, it's the same problem we had in Sunwall Plateau in the Burning Crusade with Kil'jaeden. Kil'jaeden in his drop table had a legendary bow that created its own arrow, something that was awesome. But when the bow dropped, hunters were like, well, why should I spend my DKP on that? Like, it's a piece of shit. It's pointless. This legendary bow right here is leveling gear. It's useless to me. The expansion is over. I've killed the last boss of the expansion. This bow is leveling gear, and I'm going to replace it within 30 minutes in Borean Tundra. And the legendary ring is unfortunately even worse. It was disappointing in itself, alright? It's just a disappointing legendary item. But you are encouraged to kill Archimon over and over and over again. Loot the stupid item and upgrade your legendary ring by 3 item levels all the way up to like 790 or something like that. Why should I bother with that? Alright, with this final patch syndrome, I start feeling like I've killed this boss once. I don't want to kill it again. Alright, there is no point in gathering gear. Gear is even more pointless than it already was. So why should I re-kill bosses and farm them, right? Because they already died because of me. You know, it doesn't matter that it's the same difficulty or a different fucking difficulty. You know, that boss died in front of my eyes. But we are encouraged to kill Archimon over and over and over again for weeks and months to upgrade our leveling ring. And talking about leveling gear, I personally at least have another problem on top of this final patch syndrome. And that's, I'm not sure I want to buy and play the next expansion right now. Previously, I was 100% sure all the time. I always bought the collector's edition. But right now, I'm like, well, this expansion was pretty shit apart from raids. And it was expensive as fuck. And the next expansion might be the same or even worse. So, I'm not even sure I want to play the next expansion. Because I could play Guild Wars, which is free to play, essentially. Well, it's buy to play. You have to buy the game and the expansions. But it's currently has more content and it's more fun for less money. Or I could play Final Fantasy, which a lot of people are saying it's really good. Or I could play Path of Exile. Or hundreds of different games. Alright, that may not be as good in terms of rating as well. But they just have more content. Bloody hell. I tried Rift when it was first released, and I left Rift after Cataclysm was released because I came back to the game. But right now I'm like, well, maybe I want to go and try Rift again. Because it's free to play, and it has a lot of stuff, and it's kind of fun. So I don't know if I even want to play WoW after this expansion. And that just magnifies this feeling, this final patch syndrome for me. But yeah, I think this is a problem. I think it's really hard to get invested in an expansion that only has 2 patches. And from all the interviews, that's what they're trying to do. And I think that's a really bad idea. Because people just can't get invested into the expansion. You can't. You just can't. You have the first patch. That's awesome, that's new, and you do all this stuff. Then you get the first big content patch, which if it's not called 6.1, it should be really good, and you have new stuff, and you are excited. But then you have the final patch, and you start feeling the final patch syndrome again. I really don't think people can get invested if you just have 2 patches. You just can't. You don't have enough time. You just don't. The final patch syndrome kicks in way too soon for you. Alright? It's like with the boosted characters, at least for me, that is. I boosted a Hunter, and it's not... I don't feel like it's my character. I've been given this thing, and I don't give a shit about it. Because I didn't take it from level 1 to 90 or 100, and I didn't take it on a journey. I didn't get invested in that character, and as a result, I don't give a flying fuck about that Hunter. And sadly, that's how I feel about Warlords of Draenor. I didn't have enough time to go on a journey and do things and enjoy it, and as a result, I don't really give a shit about Warlords of Draenor.